Alright, so today it is Foundation Friday. This is where we try out a new foundation every single Friday on my channel, 6 p.m. Pacific time. We are trying out an older foundation that I haven't heard like anything about on the YouTubes. I'm like schwitzing in here. This is the Covergirl CG Smoothers Hydrating Makeup Foundation. So I believe they also have a BB cream that is supposed to be like the CG Smoothers BB cream. So this is the foundation. On one of my videos, a lot of you guys recommended I try this foundation, which is why I purchased it. But this retails for about $6 to $8 depending on where you get it. It comes in 12 shades. The shade range looks like that. It doesn't quite look like a range of shades, but I have the lightest shade, which is 705 Ivory. CoverGirl is cruelty-free now. Yay, CoverGirl, go you. And the description of this just says, designed with aqua current science. Who the heck knows what that is? It provides super moisturizing coverage. From the instant you smooth it on, all you see and feel is naturally beautiful, smooth skin. Your natural makeup look lasts for up to 11 hours. So they don't say what kind of coverage it's supposed to have, but they do say it's hydrating, smoothing, and it's a natural makeup look. So my guess would be like not super full coverage, but we'll see. On the back of here, it also says it is unscented and it won't clog pores. So thank you for not putting a freaking fragrance in your foundation. And that's about it. So I'm going to insert swatches right here so you guys can see how the shade 705 compares to some other CoverGirl foundations and some other drugstore foundations. Alright, so swatches, right here is the CoverGirl CG Smoothers Foundation in the lightest shade 705. Next over is the CoverGirl Vitalist Foundation in the lightest shade 705. So obviously that one is quite a bit darker than the lightest shade in the Smoothers. Here's the lightest shade of the CoverGirl Clean Matte BB Cream in 710. I love this one. When I had oily skin, this is amazing. L'Oreal True Match Foundation in C1 and CYO Life Proof in 101. Like usual, I'm going to be doing my full day wear test and flash test in this video. So if you're excited for Foundation Friday and you enjoy these videos, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, you can join the Burrito family and subscribe. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, so I thought I'd switch it up and start out barefaced today for today's video. So it is 10:45 in the morning. So I haven't done swatches yet, so I don't know what the shade is going to look like. But CoverGirl foundations usually run pretty dark. The Vitalist foundation I love, but it is really dark, the lightest shade, so I'm not expecting too much from this shade. So it just squeezes out. I like this packaging. It's just like old school squeeze to basic foundation packaging. I think brands get a little bit like complex with the packaging sometimes now, and it ends up just being super heavy and bulky, and this is just like basic. You could travel easy with it. It's not going to break. It looks pretty thick on there, like it's not moving at all. And I'm just going to use my Sigma F82 round top kabuki today on half my face because all of my other foundation brushes need to be washed. And then on the other half, I'm going to use my LA Girl sponge. Is there SPF in here? It smells kind of like SPF. Doesn't say. Also, I do have a little zit right here today, and I got a lot of dryness on this side of my face this morning, so I'm not sure what was happening there. I did exfoliate really well in the shower right here just to get like the dry skin off. So it looks like light coverage. It did, you know, tone down some of the redness. And the shade looking at my neck looks pretty good if it doesn't oxidize. I definitely can still see a lot of redness, freckles, everything coming through. It just looks like my skin, but like a little bit less red. It doesn't look as dewy as I was kind of picturing. It did when I first put it on, and then it kind of just like mattified a little bit. It doesn't look matte, but it doesn't look as dewy. Feels just like very moisturizing and kind of lightweight going on. Just like kind of creamy. I have a feeling this one's going to do better with the sponge, and I think it'll build. Feels like it's going to build well. It feels tacky still, but it doesn't feel like it's sliding. You know what I don't understand? How some people don't have like flyaways and baby hairs. Like they put their hair up in a bun and it's like a perfect smooth back bun. What the heck, man? Got too much hair over here. Question for you guys. Do you think I should add music, like the same song every time when I apply my foundation, or do you like it just with me like talking and kind of cutting some of it out or fast forwarding some of it in silence? Let me know down below. Ooh, that looks pretty. A little bit of this does spread pretty far, so I'm just gonna now smooth over the rest of my forehead. I actually really like the shade. I think the shade is like a pretty close match. Definitely the best CoverGirl shade match so far if it doesn't oxidize. About the same coverage sponge and brush side, maybe a tiny bit less here, but like barely. Still overall looks like light coverage. So I'm going to try and build this one up on my cheek area to see if it can cover some more of like the redness and stuff going on there. And I am going back in and squirting some more out. I'm going to use the sponge for that since we got the same coverage, and I like the finish a little bit better on the sponge side with this one. It is building, but it still looks like natural coverage. Like they said, it does look very natural. I would say you can build it to medium coverage, but barely. Like it's pretty low medium coverage or high light coverage. It looks really nice on my forehead, but it does have that look to it right here. Like I feel like it's gonna get a little bit dry looking throughout the day. Doesn't look like it's creasing everywhere. So far, I just really like this shade. I like how it looks on my forehead, and I think it looks nice for like natural coverage. I would say the finish is a satin finish, definitely more on the satin matte side than like satin dewy, even though my forehead's looking pretty dewy, but this part of my face is looking a little bit more matte. So it's now 10:55, so we'll probably call the check-in time 11 o'clock. To the touch, I like that this one feels like it's kind of setting down. Like I definitely feel like I could blend stuff on top of here. To the touch, it doesn't feel totally powdery matte or anything. Like you can still feel it on your face, but it definitely is setting. It doesn't feel like slippery dewy. So I like that. I don't think I'm going to powder any part of my face with this one. And if I can avoid powder, I definitely do, because my dry skin just looks a lot better without powder. Right now, if I was wearing this not filming a foundation review, I would definitely spray some kind of dewy setting spray over top, because I feel like that could probably just make me like it even more right now. So far so good. I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back, and then we'll do a flash test. Okay, so here we are in natural lighting. I've come to the conclusion that I think something is wrong with this camera. I filmed my check-ins on the G7X, and for a while now, it's been so hard to like get in focus, and on the little viewfinder, I can't tell when I'm totally in focus or not. So sorry if when I import some of the check-in footage, if it's like a little bit out of focus. I do my best to make sure you guys can see clearly, but here we are in natural lighting. So it's mattified quite a bit, like I said. It looks okay on my forehead. The rest of my face just looks a little bit too matte for what I like. Not just like finish, I don't mind if it's matte, but like smoothing and looks like skin, but it's the kind of matte where it's just like emphasizing stuff a little bit too much. So I'm gonna zoom in. So I just feel like it's making my skin look a little bit too dry. Like it doesn't look nice and moisturized and plump. It definitely just looks a little bit on the dry side now. My forehead still has a little bit of kind of dew to it, but even though it's a little bit glowy, you can just kind of like see it. So right now I'm not liking it as much as when I first put it on. I might wait until the next check-in and then spray my face with setting spray, because if I was wearing this like tomorrow, that's what I would do, because right now it's just not looking as moisturizing as I like, and I just feel like my face feels very dry too. So I think we're gonna try that at the next check-in, but let's do a flash test. Looks pretty good in flash, doesn't look like there's a major white cast or anything. And looking at the shade out here, I feel like it maybe could be warmed up like a little bit with bronzer. It almost just looks a little bit pink. I would rather have it be a little bit too pink of an undertone than a yellow undertone. So I definitely think the shade can work for me, but it looks a tiny bit light on flash. But in real life, I think it looks pretty good. I don't like the bronzer I used today, so I didn't want to like bring it up to my temples. But that's where we're at right now. So check-in time, what did I say it was, 11 o'clock. So by the way, right now it's 11:50, so it's been on for almost an hour at this point. But I will see you guys in a few hours. Okay, it is 5:18, so it's been on for 6 hours right now. Let's take a look. So it's obviously dark out right now, so we are in front of the light. Thank you, winter. It looks okay right now. Like I wouldn't look at my skin and think it looks particularly amazing or anything, but it doesn't look bad. Let me just zoom you in. All right, so here's up close. My eyes are all bloodshot because I've just been on the computer for 6 hours. I am getting creasing around my nose area, upper lip a little bit. Not too horrible, but I mean, I am getting some creasing around there. My forehead, it's looking a little better on camera, I feel like, overall, for some reason. I can just see it on my skin, doesn't look like the most smoothing. For being called like smoothers, I was just picturing kind of like CYO smoothing, and I definitely don't think it's that. Again, I still feel like it's more on the satin side, so it's not like super dewy and plump looking or anything. Right now it's just kind of like I'm not seeing one thing that I particularly like besides the shade, so I just don't think I would reach for it over some of my other foundations, but it doesn't look bad. I just Postmates Chipotle, so that's where I'm at. Gonna attempt to edit a second video right now, work on some 15 days of foundation brand stuff, and then I'll see you guys at the end of the night. Oh, I hate looking at the clock at this time. It's now 9:11, so it's been on for 10 hours. I think it looks pretty much exactly the same as the last check-in. Maybe a little bit worse. Like, it does look like it's separating a bit around my nose area, but everything else looks almost exactly the same to me. Chipotle, by the way, was 10 out of 10. Alright, so here is zoomed in. You can see here in my nose area, it's doing something a little funky. Like, there's some separation, almost like bunching or gathering happening. This side too. Forehead doesn't look too bad. Everything else, like I said, just looks, whoa, wrong way. Everything else just looks basically the same. So I feel like by this point you guys kind of know my thoughts on this one. I'm trying to think what I would even mix this with, because whenever I mix foundations, it's two foundations that I like, so that when they come together, it's like amazing, because that just usually has a better result than mixing like a mediocre foundation with one that you like, unless you're trying to like use it up or something, of course. But this one, just because it just looks so like average on my skin, I don't even know what I would do with this one. I definitely don't think it needs a powder. I think it would look like too cakey with a powder for sure. Maybe just the setting spray. Like, I might try this again with either the Catrice Dewy Glow or Too Faced 3-in-1 over top. Maybe that will help just kind of like make everything a little bit more dewy and smoothing looking. I don't think it's horrible. I think if you have less texture, maybe this would sit a little bit different on your skin. But I hope you enjoyed Foundation Friday. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. If you want to watch last week's Foundation Friday or past weeks, I have a whole playlist down below with hundreds of foundation reviews. I also recently did my foundation collection / declutter video, so I will link all of that down below. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.